Markets pushed to fresh all time highs again today, but honestly, I think this was one of those most divided tapes that we're just getting used to seeing so much. Because if you look closely, although it was all green, but underneath, the market was essentially just arguing with itself all session. Oil briefly pushed back close to $100 after Trump rejected Iran's latest peace proposal, and Michael Burry came out warning that AI stocks are starting to look like they are in the final stages, similar to what happened during the dot-com bubble. And despite all that, I mean, the S&P closed at all-time highs, the Qs closed at all-time highs. So the question now becomes, is this market showing real strength, or are we watching the final stages of a momentum chase before something finally breaks? And tomorrow, the CPI report is going to decide which side is going to win. And if you find this content to be useful, please consider subscribing. Let's talk about actually what happened today. At first glance, the market looked pretty normal. I mean, it's green. S&P green, triple Q's green, Dow green, like gold green, right? So it's another all-time highs in most of the ETFs. But once you looked underneath the surface, the tape was completely split. You had initially all the software names sold off. So whether you pick Microsoft, Oracle, Meta, like they're all sold off. And some of them managed to recover, but some of them just weren't able to recover themselves. Meta is one of those examples. Even the defensive name, Procter and Gamble, that also sold off. And honestly, this was a rotation that was happening because the money was coming out of all the software names and it was getting pushed into commodities and some AI names. So this was just, money rotating within a crowded space. And then during all of this, two completely opposite market narratives hit the tape at exact same time. On one side, you have Michael Burry warned that the AI rally is starting to resemble the final phases of the dot-com bubble. So obviously, with a news like that, there were some jitters in the market. And honestly, like all day, the tape was just so heavy. It's green, but underneath, it was just heavy. And whether you agree with Michael Burry or not, that's up for something to think about. But the guy who called out the 2008 housing collapse, when he starts talking about these kind of things, I mean, you may not pay attention, but some of the other people may start paying attention. I personally don't have any opinion about those kind of things. I just trade the charts. I am a technical based trader. So I look at the technicals. I don't want to get involved with who's saying what. I think the technical analysis wins over all of this commentary. But on the other side, so we have Michael Burry, but on the other side, we have Sandler. He released a bullish Tesla outlook. And he basically said that investors are getting Tesla's robotics business for free at current price. So it kind of makes sense. So that's why you see that pop in Tesla. So that's why, it's closed pretty strong. So in the same session, you had one side calling this a bubble, while another side was still arguing we haven't even fully priced in the AI opportunity yet. That's the real battle happening underneath this market right now, which we have to start paying very close attention to. And honestly, I don't think this market fully knows which side is right. And I don't blame it. That's why you're seeing these violent rotations between software, semis, and today like commodities. AI names have been a big rotation story, and now even from defensive. So money coming out of software, defensive, heading into AI names, commodities. That was kind of interesting to see. So this no longer is a simple everything goes up rally. It's becoming much more selective. And I've been saying this since past 2 weeks that this rally is just becoming selective and selective every week. So tomorrow morning, you got to pay attention to this. Tomorrow morning, CPI report is probably the first major catalyst that forces this market to pick a direction again. Because if inflation comes in hotter than expected, yields probably move higher fast. And some of these extended AI names could finally start seeing some pressure. Because if CPI comes in softer, then this momentum chase probably continues again, especially in semis. So tomorrow, it's the CPI is going to decide. So again, we're not going to trade the headlines. We're going to look at the data. And tomorrow, I think it could be finally, it could settle down that who's in control. Is it so the bull versus bear argument that's been building underneath the surface since last week and into now this week is going to solidify tomorrow. And honestly, one thing traders need to be careful about tomorrow is chasing the first move after the number drops. And if you're someone who day trades or you're someone who swing trades, watch out for the first 30 minutes. Just be very careful about those things. Because that's when you find out, once the 30 minutes are over, that's when you're going to find out who really is in control. And of course, the reports are going to dictate what happens with this rally tomorrow. So, heading into tomorrow, this market is still looking strong on the surface, but underneath, the disagreement is getting louder and louder, and CPI probably decides which side finally takes over. Now, let's talk about some charts that probably matter most going into tomorrow, and I'm going to start with Tesla. Tesla has honestly been one of the cleanest momentum trades on the board lately. We started tracking Tesla in this when it defended that 385 support area, and that retest was textbook. Buyers stepped in aggressively. Tesla kept holding higher lows, and then eventually it finally broke through that major 400 resistance that it tried to break multiple times in the past. And once 400 flipped from resistance into support on this day here, the rest is history. Since then, Tesla has basically just been stair stepping higher, and today's bullish news flow only added more fuel to the move. This ended up being a fantastic swing trade setup, especially for anyone who caught the 385 support that we have been talking about on this channel for 2 weeks now almost. Now, heading into tomorrow, the biggest thing I'm watching is whether momentum continues after the CPI. If the number comes in cooler and buyers stay aggressive, I think Tesla probably still has more room to go higher. But if we get a pullback, the first area I'll be watching closely is 425. Then below that, 416 becomes the deeper support zone I care about most at this point of time. Those are the two levels that probably decide whether Tesla keeps trending or starts cooling off a little after such a massive run. Now, the other name I'm watching very closely is Nvidia, another very strong breakout story. We kept talking about how important the 197 support was while Nvidia was lagging behind some of the other AI names. And honestly, the fact that buyers defended that 197 over and over again was the tell. Because once positive momentum finally came back into semis, Nvidia exploded higher very quickly. But I must just say, it was lagging though. At that point, once that held 197, at that point, 217 becomes the key level on the chart. Because if Nvidia can stay above 217, which is the previous all-time high, after the CPI, then I think there is still room for continuation towards another attempt at not only holding the all-time high, but even pushing close to $250. But if inflation comes in hotter than expected and semis pull back, then I'll be watching the $207 area to see whether buyers defend that in the same way they defended $197. Moving along, I have MU that I'm also watching very closely, but MU has honestly just gone completely vertical ever since we called out that 683 resistance area on the name, and that was the breakout area. We talked about it, and it was one of the cleaner momentum setups we've had probably in all of the semis, I would say. But right now, I'm not interested in chasing MU up here. Congrats to whoever got in at the break of 683 for a swing trade. But right now, if you're not in a trade on in MU, there is no trade right now. At this point, I rather wait for a meaningful pullback or consolidation before looking for another entry. So for now, MU stays on watch, but no new trade yet. Moving along, the other name that I'm watching very closely is Apple. And Apple is another name that's been extremely strong. We started tracking Apple aggressively once it confirmed that it can hold the triple top we've had in the past at $275. And ever since then, the stock has basically just trended higher in a vertical way all the way into its all-time highs. So currently, Apple is trading above its all-time high, which is great to see. Then recently we got the so it's trading above its all-time high. So heading into tomorrow, the levels I care about most are the previous all-time high sitting at $289 and the $287 for any pullback. As long as Apple keeps defending those breakout zones, I think momentum still stays very healthy. And congrats to all the swing trades for taking this trade from the $275 area. I mean, this was 150% return on options, which was like absolutely amazing. So tomorrow, if the buyers stay aggressive after CPI, then the next big level I'm watching is the break above $295. And finally, the last one that I'm going to bring up here is AMD. And honestly, AMD has probably been the one of the a great example of momentum stock, because the stock exploded after earnings, pulled back the next day, then ripped again after the new deal flow hit the tape on this day. But through all of this, one thing stayed consistent. Buyers defended that $400 that we talked about on this channel. That was the key. And once AMD finally reclaimed 430 with momentum behind it, the breakout was confirmed. So congrats to whoever got in for the break of $430 or when it held the 400 as a support area. So heading into tomorrow, 430 becomes the most important level on the chart. If AMD starts losing 430 after the CPI, then the stock probably enters a deeper consolidation phase. But as long as the buyers continue defending the breakout area, I still think AMD has room for another leg higher. So those are the main names I will be watching closely heading into tomorrow's session. I hope you like the recap I did this today. If you did, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye for now.